Welcome to It All Boils Down to This, the podcast where father and son take the kitchen table arguments and heated discussions from their home directly to yours. Jim and Jack Boyle will explore the world as only they can. We might even let a few guests join the fun. So sit back, choose a side, watch the water temperature rise, and enjoy stimulating generational conversation about sports and life.
Jerome, what does it mean to you?
I want to thank the Lord. I want to thank Coach Harbaugh. Fucking love you, man. Love the shit out of you, man. This is for you. For this university, the president, our AD. We got the best players, best university, best alumni in the country. Love you guys. These fucking guys right here. These guys right here, man. These guys did it. These guys did it, man. Talk to him, man. Love you.
Thank you, Coach.
The perseverance, and then the stalwartness of these guys. I mean, watching, I would have to say, everybody. It's got to be America's team. It's got to be America's team. America loves a team that beats the odds, beats the adversity, overcomes what the naysayers and critics, so-called experts think. That's my favorite kind of team. And watching it from that view on the television, it was finally people get to see what I see every day, in these players and these coaches.
All right, that is Jim Harbaugh today talking about how Michigan is now America's team. It has to be America's team. Also, is the coach, I forget the coach's name, who coached them. He was the one crying after the game in the post-game interview. But was there a plane crash at Michigan? Did someone get cancer or something? Or they were stealing signs?
No, they didn't. Yeah, they were cheating. And you know what? I was going to open with this. It's perfect. You had the right audio. Just welcome to It All Boils Down to This. This is Season 1, Episode 14. It's just going to be Jack and I today discussing all this fun stuff. And Jack leads with exactly the right stuff today because I so despise Jim Harbaugh, and I now so despise anything to do with Michigan that even though Penn State really stunk, that's just over the top. You're right, Jack, completely over the top. I don't know what to say. You cheated, you got caught, and now you're a crybaby. Now they're the martyrs. So I don't understand what they got going.
They're literally acting persecuted. It's honestly, it's been the craziest situation ever. You guys were stealing. So I don't think it's that bad of a crime and everything, but the way they've reacted. I've been a Michigan guy for a while. I've always supported Michigan. I've rooted for Michigan. I remember watching a game at my cousin Rob's house. His his 2 houses ago. It was Penn State versus Ohio. Not Penn State. It was Ohio State versus Michigan. Really rooting for Michigan hard when Ohio State used to beat them all the time. But it's you were stealing signs, and he's talking. We're now America's team. We've gone through all this adversity. You were stealing signs. I can't understand this.
It's not only that. It's not that Harbaugh has been caught 3 or 4 times, and it's just amazing to me that this is the way they're playing it. They have a really good defensive team with Penn State against Penn State. They ran the ball 100,000 times. The quarterback is definitely not a Heisman Trophy winner. And then Penn State was another story for another day. But the whining, the complaining, the martyring. They're Michigan, for Christ's sakes. They are Michigan, the University of Michigan. They get 112,000 fans sitting in their stadium every single time they play at home. They probably can get any recruit in the state of Michigan, state of Ohio that they really want. And this guy has the audacity, especially the assistant coach. It's right. It was did somebody die? Was there a mass shooting on the campus? Nothing like that. Just that Jim Harbaugh decided to bend the rules as much as he could, and he went too far. I think I agree with the Big Ten. You don't want to penalize the players. The only way to do it is penalize the coach. You and I can have the discussion sometime later, but I'm done. I have to put them when we do our top 4 this week. I got to put them in the top 4 because they did beat a good Penn State team. But I'm done. I'm done with them.
A good Penn State team. I don't know. They got a good defense. The quarterback is awful. He's the worst quarter. He's terrible. He's he's a 5-star recruit. How are you that bad? He has no talent. It feels like he can't throw. He can't hit a guy running a slant 15 yards. You're a 5-star recruit. How are you a 5-star recruit? I would imagine you have to make those throws to get that rating. He was making them. I have no idea how he's that bad. Honestly,
it's real simple. He's got an offensive coordinator who's terrible, who they fired, and that's what happened. Penn State fired their offensive coordinator.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. And the irony of the offensive coordinators, he actually was, I forget how his lineage happens, but he was at Shippensburg State University, and he was running this innovative offensive type thing, and he got moved into the college level. So
well, I don't care about the offensive coordinator. I'm talking about the actual. It looks like this quarterback has no talent. He was ranked. I looked at a mock draft like 2 months ago because he's coming out in 2 years. He's like the first pick in the draft. Well, I have no idea. He is terrible. He's awful.
speculation that let's draft 2 years down the road.
No, I know, but I'm just saying
you just never know what's going to happen.
You're not understanding me.
I am
to
understanding.
have someone speculate that you're going to be the number one pick, you have to have some talent. He has. I don't know. At what point was he good in his life? Like, was he good? He must have been great in high school, but I don't understand how he can't throw the ball.
Who's he remind you of Penn State? Sackerberg.
No, but he's big like him. Yeah, I guess.
No, I mean,
the thing is, he's got the
overrated.
NFL build. That's the thing. When you're 6'5" and you're big like that, but he can't throw the ball. But back to Michigan and Jim, they did. I get the going back. They kind of got screwed a little bit. Like this ruling kind of came out quick. They suspended him on Friday. So it was like they dropped the news on Friday, all that. So I do think that's where they're kind of coming from, is we got screwed like that. But still, you brought it upon yourselves. They brought it upon themselves. They're not persecuted. If they didn't steal signs, they would not be in this situation.
Totally agree. And again, the college football coach is the CEO. He runs the show. Your offensive defensive coordinator should know what they're doing, because that's the way big-time college football works. You got 100,000 coaches on the bench. You got thousands of players to choose from. You got fans, everything. Harbaugh stepped over the line, got punished for it. I don't mind. I think the punishment fits the crime. 3 games gets them away from Penn State and Ohio State. They'll try to appeal it and get a stay of the punishment until maybe next year, until they play crappy teams first 3 games. But didn't he sit out the first 3 games last year too?
This year. He sat out the first 3 games this year. So their free Harbaugh thing, you've already used it up. They used it up earlier in the year for something stupid. They did the same thing. They took the penalty, like the first play of the season. They did that formation, like line up for Jim Harbaugh. Can I have your computer, by the way? Because I got all the scores and stuff on it.
Okay, hold on.
What do you got next? What do you got? We can't keep talking about Michigan.
Not Michigan.
We can go through. You know what? Instead, I'll get Kevin's call up.
We'll go through. Next thing I just want to bring up is college football coaching. We've had 2 people get fired who both coached in the same game. The Mississippi State coach got fired, and Jimbo Fisher got fired for being, what's the word that they used?
Terrible?
Terrible. Not terrible. They were going nowhere. They were mediocre or whatever. He won like 40 more games than he lost. He just beat Mississippi State by like 100 points, and he got fired, and they're going to eat like $76 million. And college football's out of control. I don't care what anybody says. Out of control. Not fair. Out of control. What do you think?
What does that mean? Out of control.
The fire. Who spent $75 million to eat a coach's money? I don't even think that Carolina ate that much from Matt Rule.
Texas A&M.
Well, that's true too. It is.
I don't. That's what. How's that broke? That's been going on forever. No.
Not at the big number.
Yeah, but I know the money's just bigger. But I'm saying that sort of thing. Why is it broken now? I don't think that has any.
I said it's out of control.
Whatever.
I think it's completely out of control. You know, it's you know what? it's hard. It's the way it's going to be. It's a professional sport. We got to learn and love it like that. And I know we're going to go over some scores right now and then we'll do Kevin. And just in honor of Kevin, I'm wearing my Xavier University shirt just for Kevin tonight. I'll go.
Panderer.
I got a panderer because he's making fun of me on his calls when I'm not here.
All right, I'm just going to start playing Kevin's call now. It's like 9 minutes long, so we get a lot to get through here.
Okay, go.
The boys are back in town, or should I just say the men? Welcome back, Jimbo. Looking forward to hearing about everything that went on in Arizona. But just want to shout out Jack for doing an excellent job going an hour 20 last week. Enjoyed every second of the podcast. But also want to congratulate Justin Trevisani and the Harvard Crimson for winning the Ivy League championship. I know Chris was there with about 12 of his UMass buddies supporting one of their friends from UMass who's on the staff as well. So shout out to Justin. Shout out to everybody that's working hard on the field and off the field at Harvard. Next up, Jack wants me to cover Mac Jones. There is nobody I hate more than Mac Jones. He is despicable. Everything about him I hate. And when I saw this interception, that last interception, it just blew my mind. And all I could think was this.
That's disgusting!
That's right, Jersey Jerry. Just absolutely disgusting for Mac Jones. And this dude was in the post-game press conference, like, almost crying.
Kevin's
and I couldn't
becoming
believe it. Well, no, I could. Because he is, that's just him. That's his personality. He cries, he whines. And then he has people like Dan Orlovsky go on Twitter and ESPN and back him up. And I swear to God, he pays
Don't
Dan
read Twitter,
Orlovsky
Kevin.
like 6 figures to back him up on everything. And this dude can't even set his feet right when he throws. He is horrible. Can't wait to get rid of him. Oh, my God. Oh, horrible.
We'll talk about Mac later when we get to the NFL and talk about the Patriots, but just he didn't mention this. He said the next quarterback for the Patriots has to pass the loser test before we draft him. Like his.
What is the loser test to Kevin?
Well, he says Mac Jones, A, looks like a loser. He hates his face. B, he hates him crying. He cried like on the field that one time, and I forget. It was funny. They got to pass the loser test. Caleb Williams does not pass the loser test. Kevin says.
I said the other thing is Kevin's the new quarterback whisperer. I got to set my feet and all that other stuff. Kevin played quarterback in maybe flag football at gym class.
Yeah, no, Kevin never played quarterback.
No, he never did.
Yeah, but
I'm just kidding.
He's
I'm just kidding.
Those are his Dan Orlovsky talking points.
I'll give up. Okay. So
all right, now
let's
he's going to
get
probably
his
go to college
real
football.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Anyway, getting on to the gambling. Just
I don't like
another
the
week,
gambling,
another
Kevin.
great performance
what
from
this
me.
whole thing is.
That's
I know.
the summary of it. 11-9, and then Utah as my lock winning, which was a nail biter. Basically, a blocked field goal to get my cover. So that was big. And yeah, another week over 500, and all my big bets hits besides Ole Miss. So Ole Miss, that was bad. That was a blowout. But Michigan won, Bama won, Missouri won, Utah won, LSU won. So out of the 6 bets I had, I think that's 6. Yeah. Out of the 6 big bets, 5 of them won. So on to the games, just to do a recap of that. So Michigan emasculated Drew Aller, who's basically actually the Mac Jones of college football, by the way. that is
He
my
hates him too.
Drew Aller pro comp is Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. 18 years old.
Other things to touch on in
That going back to my point about the talent, Mac Jones was like, I know he had great receivers in Waddle and Devonta Smith on the Eagles there at Alabama, but he won a national championship throwing balls all over the field. This Drew Aller kid stinks. He stinks.
Yes,
I
he
can't
does.
figure it out. I can't.
game.
I agree with you.
It's embarrassing that J.J. McCarthy was in the Heisman race. I mean, to run the ball like 26 straight times or something like that, like not throw a single pass in the whole second half. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like the Michigan interim coach crying, after the game. Like that's one of the more memeable moments ever. I think Jack wants me to talk about picking a side on this. I think I just want Michigan to run the table and to get in the playoff for the drama of it. I hate Ohio State. I hate Ryan Day, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, I want Michigan to lose to Ohio State, because I do not want Ohio State having any sort of success. So yeah, that's kind of my take on them. And on to the other games. Bama beat Kentucky in literally 10 minutes. The game was over. I blinked and it was 21-0 in the first quarter. Just super impressive from Bama. Milrose getting better and better, throwing the ball better too. The SEC championship game's already locked in between them and Georgia. That's going to be a heavyweight fight. Going to be awesome. Just going to be awesome. Other games.
That SEC championship game is the national title game.
That's what you keep telling me. I don't think that's absolutely true.
Whoever wins that game is going to win the title. I'm telling you.
You don't like the Big Ten SEC
No, not at all. Michigan
matchup?
didn't impress me at all. They can't. I don't know if the quarterback.
You don't like that?
No.
So you think Alabama? You jumped up to Bama.
Michigan. The thing with Michigan, they're the same. I feel like they're the same team as last year. Like they're not. It's the same thing.
But they have the martyr. They have all that going.
Okay, they're
going to
lose to Ohio
all
State.
that going for them, right? I
I
told
think
you
they're
that
gonna
Penn
lose to
State.
Ohio-
Penn State could have beat them,
it's
but
at
Penn State
Michigan.
didn't quarterback. Yeah.
So probably
Ohio
not.
State. Ryan Day's biggest drawback for Ryan Day is you can't beat Michigan.
Yeah, Crying
Beats everybody
Ryan,
else. Yeah.
third base. All the names there.
So he had Alabama,
Arizona.
Kentucky. Okay. Oh, here goes Arizona. Can't wait.
Oh yeah. I paused. I want the Alabama. So they killed Kentucky. I don't know if he said he bet on Alabama. I swear he had a call either last week or 2 weeks ago. He's going to just keep betting Kentucky for the rest of the year because he loves the quarterback.
He loves
turns on
Kentucky
him.
because
At least he won.
Because he used to live right near Kentucky at Xavier University. Okay, go. Who's next?
Lost. Well, I didn't mean lost. Didn't cover, and that was Jack's lock. So I just want to point that out if Jack doesn't talk about that. So his lock did not
Yeah, I
win.
forgot to do it. It was Arizona.
Missouri.
They won. They beat Colorado, but they didn't cover. They won on a last-second field goal.
Yeah, I was
I'm going to go
shocked.
look for a lock right now.
I was shocked by that, Jack, because I can't believe they were favored by like 8 points on the road against Colorado, in Colorado at Mile High.
Yeah, what do you mean? Colorado's been horrible. Colorado was due. Yeah.
Yeah,
Arizona's been rolling.
I have Colorado on my list here. Talk about Dion and his stuff, and I think you have some footage from him, right? Maybe no.
I get
okay.
no Dion stuff.
But Dion. Let's go back real quick. Arizona's playing really well. They're probably one of the surprise teams. Pac-12, 7-3. Bowl game. I saw them played really well. I'm glad they beat Dion. Dion's struggling because he just. You can only shoot your mouth off so much, and I agree with him that it's great that he's bringing publicity to his program. But eventually, the better teams are going to beat Colorado until he recruits better. He can't just go to the portal.
He's going to Texas A&M.
Yeah, no way. I will bet
you. Get him to the SEC.
My lock of the week. Dion not going to Texas A&M. Go.
It'll be longer than a week till we find that out.
Absolutely killed Tennessee. I picked Missouri to win, but I didn't think they'd beat them by like 30. I mean, that was crazy. Just goes to show like how great Missouri is. Very underrated team this year. Played Georgia pretty tight last week too. So shout out Mizzou.
The funny part is nobody cares.
And yeah,
about
I'll
Missouri.
touch upon Washington, Utah. I think Washington was down by 4 or 5 at halftime. And then they basically didn't give up any points to Utah in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. So their defense showed up, and that's kind of my biggest question mark with Washington is their defense. And they showed up, and, Penix was balling. He was throwing 30, 40, 50-yard passes down the field. Just some of those Heisman-y plays you expect out of him. Overall, great win for Washington. And, they have another big game this week, but we'll see what happens. I don't think Penix has played himself out of the Heisman yet whatsoever. So it's going to be either him or Nix probably, which is crazy.
I just want to pick up on his great Utah lock. It's a great lock, except for that stupid linebacker dropping the ball at the 1 yard line. He doesn't win the bet.
Yeah, he got lucky there. He won't.
Very lucky. That's the thing I don't understand about my friend Kevin. Come on, give me a break.
But again,
you got lucky as heck. That is beyond luck. That's like. Haley running back for the Cowboys and Don Beebe knocking the ball out of his hands right at the goal line to make the score instead of 48-7, make it 42-7. But Kevin, I'm giving you, God bless you, doing really well on this, but don't go playing on that lock because that kid dropped the football. Kid don't drop the football, you lose.
All right, we'll finish this goal.
Okay.
Other game, FSU against Miami.
FSU,
I'm over
baby.
FSU. I really hope they don't make the playoff. I don't think they're as good as any of the other top 4 or 5 teams, and I'll go over my power rankings in just a second. I touched upon Georgia demolishing Ole Miss. I mean, JTrev made a great point of saying Ole Miss is kind of like the Penn State of the SEC, and I just want to shut him out for that because I thought that was a good call, even though I do like Ole Miss a lot, but I tend to agree with him there. And quickly, before I go to my power rankings, I just have to give Jaden Daniels his flowers. First FBS player ever to have over 350 passing yards and 200 rushing yards in a game, I think. Yeah, it was like playing a video game. He was incredible. And the real disgrace of it is that LSU gave up 35 points to Florida or something like that. It was just it shouldn't have been a game. It was, under the lights in Death Valley. If your quarterback's putting up those numbers, you should be winning by 50, not squeaking out a win. Well, not squeaking out, but it was a 10-point win or something like that. So
Kevin, come on.
Yeah, and then I looked at previous Heisman winners,
please?
Or ESPN showed a graphic of it, and they said 3-loss Heisman winners have been Tebow, RG3, and Lamar. And Jaden Daniels, I don't think is clear ahead of Penix or Bo Nix to really put him in that conversation. So even though Daniels is awesome, I don't think he's a Heisman guy when you have Penix and Bo Nix there. So
I think that Daniels should win the Heisman. I know they have the losses, but look at who they lost to. They lost to Alabama. Might make the playoff. They lost to Florida State. Might make the playoff. I forget who else they lose to. I don't know who else they lost to, but
they lost to Florida State.
I said them.
Oh, you did. I missed.
So yeah, you just really threw me off.
I'm gonna go Heisman. I have him ahead of Penix, but you know who my sleeper now for the Heisman is? It's your favorite player of all time.
Harrison.
I think Harrison should win.
Well, that depends on the game.
It doesn't matter. How can Harrison not win?
No, if he scores 2 touchdowns against Michigan and they beat Michigan, he's gonna win.
I think he should win. I don't care what he does in Michigan.
You got to beat no.
But
for a receiver to win, it has to be flawless. It has to be perfect.
Yeah,
I still like Bo Nix too.
Yeah, I think Penix. I watched a little bit of that game. He was okay. I think Daniels is ahead of Nix and Penix, and it's just between Daniels and Harrison. But that's my opinion. And I know that 3-loss guy hasn't since Tebow, but it's relevant. It's the best college football player. It doesn't mean that you have to go undefeated.
Yeah, that's why I think the more I think about it, I think Daniels probably should win it. He's made the most plays. There's something I saw most plays over 20 yards this year. He has like 75, and I think Penix is second with like 50. So he's been, like Kevin says, he's been making Heisman plays.
Correct.
Yeah, and then on to power rankings here. I'm just going to give my personal power rankings. I kind of predicted how everything would play out last week, and that I believe is still exactly how I think. So I'm just going to go personal power rankings here. Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Bama 3, Ohio State 4, Michigan 5, Washington 6, FSU 7, Texas 8. Jack's going to love that I'm putting Bama at 3.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I had my infamous Bama blows voice message around halftime of the Bama-Tennessee game. And, ever since then, their offense has really, clicked. Former Notre Dame guy, Tommy Rees, is pulling the strings on offense behind the scenes, and Bill Rowe is just passing the ball better. And they're playing really well, and I think, they have to be a top 3-4 team in the country. Like that, if they played Ohio State or Michigan, I think they beat them. So that's why I have them there.
I do too. Yeah.
I don't.
I still think Washington needs to have a better defense. That's why I have them ranked below Ohio State and Michigan. I have Ohio State ahead of Michigan at 4, just because they have a better resume to date. And I continue to put FSU very low because I just frankly don't respect FSU. Sorry, Jack.
I can tell he doesn't respect it. You got your hat on.
Well,
that's why.
I'm not. I also have been saying all year that this Florida State team's not that good.
Florida State team is going to the playoffs.
Yeah, they're going to get killed by Georgia.
No, it doesn't matter. They got to
go.
I
know. Yeah, obviously. But
first of all, you can't have.
This isn't.
Did he have Oregon number 2?
He might have. Yeah.
Oregon number 2, Alabama 3. Holy crud.
Yeah.
Ohio
and then
State
what?
4, Michigan 5, Washington 6, Texas. Florida State 7, Texas 8. So he's got Alabama, who lost to Texas. I know we've had the discussion.
Dude,
he's got Alabama. Let me say my point. He's got Alabama, who lost to Texas, 5 spots ahead of Texas. They both have 1 loss.
Yeah, no, so look at their resumes. They have better. Alabama's resume is better. What is that, the first game of the season, too? So,
the first game doesn't count.
If Alabama played Texas on a neutral field, they would be like 8-point favorites. I'm not kidding. They would.
Where they
Maybe
play?
Not that
they
much,
played
but
them on a neutral field at the beginning.
But it's now it's
why is that
different?
different?
Because it's the first week of the season. Football teams change, especially college football teams.
Okay, so why is it
better
Texas?
Get worse?
Texas could have changed.
No,
Okay, so again,
Alabama's better.
I think he's way off base. I got 2 points for him, and I'll give you mine. I got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, then Washington, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, Louisville, Penn State. 10. That's to get to 12. I think that's 12, probably 10. I just think Oregon. I think Oregon and Washington will wash each other out. If Oregon beats Washington, they'll both be out. Oregon maybe, and if Georgia beats Alabama, if Alabama beats Georgia, they're both 1-1. They both make it. If Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama's out. Ohio State, Michigan, the winner that's going. The loser that's not going. So that leaves Georgia, and FSU is going to be in. So Washington, Oregon, Alabama, Georgia loser, and Michigan, Ohio State loser. So I don't see Oregon going, but. I don't know. I'm sticking with. I stick with Georgia being the best team in the country right now, but Alabama is right on their tail. But one of the two isn't going to make it. Alabama won't make it.
If Alabama beats them and it's a close game, Georgia might make it, depending on what happens.
That's the only,
Georgia would make it over Oregon. I think.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
A one-loss Oregon.
I agree with you.
So my power rankings, I would go 1 Georgia, 2 Bama, 3 I like Oregon, 4 Ohio State, 5 Michigan, 6. Am I missing somebody? Florida State, 7 Washington, and then I don't care about anybody else.
Yeah, I just tried to go to 10. I wanted to go.
Mine's pretty similar to Kevin's.
Because you guys we
have the same top 3. It's just a little bit different.
Overrated Alabama. I love Alabama. They're a good football team, but you're overrating them because they lose to Georgia. They're done. They got no shot of making the college tournament.
That's not the point, though. We're talking about the power rank. Who's the best teams?
I'm telling you right now.
I think Alabama's the second best team. I'm not saying they're going to. I think Alabama's the second best team. I also think they're not going to make the college football playoff.
Right.
Because I think Georgia's going to beat them.
Then now they're a 2-loss team. Now they've lost to both Georgia and Texas.
Yeah, and they're done.
Right.
Yeah. So this isn't who's making. Who do I think is going to make the playoffs? It's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Ohio State because I think they're going to beat Michigan. It's going to be Florida State. It's going to be Oregon.
So if you have a Power 5 team, Power 5 will be Power 4 next year, and they're undefeated against their schedule. Power 5 team undefeated against their schedule. You are discounting that. Yes.
What are you talking about? I'm
Florida
not leaving
State.
anyone out. I said they're.
No,
gonna
in
make
your
the
rank,
playoffs.
in your power ranking.
Yeah, because I don't think they're good. Have you
Okay.
seen who they play? There's all this stuff. I don't think they're
okay.
good.
That's good. That's fine.
It's
That's
a power ranking. It's not the. It's not.
Yeah, the power ranking. They're power. Whatever.
I think I think Alabama's better than FSU. Like I don't know how you can disagree with that, but I think that Alabama's better than FSU. Do you disagree with that?
I think FSU is better than Alabama.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You've been calling me crazy for my whole
That's
life.
crazy. You
For your
can't.
whole
There's
life.
no way FSU's better. I would love to see that game because Alabama would destroy them.
They will not
30
destroy
points. They'd
them.
beat them by 30.
No, they won't.
Yes, they would.
No, they
Florida
won't.
State. They would beat Florida State.
So
by
how
30
much would they
points.
beat Texas by?
I think they beat Texas by 2 touchdowns.
That's 14. You can add.
Yeah, I know.
So
but
you
2
think
touchdowns
you
sounds
think
cooler.
that they're 4 touchdowns better than Florida State?
Who?
Alabama.
Yeah, they beat him by 30.
Whatever.
Yeah. They'd
All
run
right.
him off the field.
All right.
I
Enough
just want
college
to finish
football.
Kevin's
Enough
call.
college
See what he's
football.
got left.
I'm done with college football.
On to next week. I'm not going to
next
lie.
week.
It's a horrible slate. It's pretty much like getting ready for Thanksgiving and rivalry weekend. There's nothing going on here. I would say 3 games to note. Michigan, Maryland, just to watch Michigan and see how they continue to do. Georgia's playing at Tennessee, so at Neyland. I mean, it's going to be, a game, but I don't know. I think Georgia's probably going to beat them by 30. Which
30,
leads me
I love
to,
it.
the absolute biggest
loves
game.
Tennessee, doesn't he?
on
Wait,
the
that's just funny. I love how we
Doesn't
use the
he
same
love
number. Going to
Tennessee?
beat him by 30, and I didn't even know that Kevin said that. So that's funny.
plate,
That
which
was
is
Alabama,
at
Tennessee,
7:30
right?
prime time ABC.
Georgia, Tennessee.
Fowler and Herb Street probably on the call. It is going to be Washington at Oregon State, and it's a disgrace that game day is not there. They're going to like James Madison or something. I mean, that's just insane.
They're undefeated.
Because this is such a huge
Close
game, and I
Liberty.
think, for me, from my perspective, I'm laying my reputation on the line, sticking with Penix here for the Heisman. I think he's going to have a Heisman night. Washington is -1. Which is kind of a fair line. I do think it's kind of a pick 'em because Oregon State is good, and it's at Oregon State under the lights. And I'm going to go Washington -1 for my lock of the week.
Thank
So
you, Kevin.
everything, all my money this week, I'm not betting anything else. I'm only betting Washington -1 against Oregon State. I'm putting a lot of money on this game.
Oh, big one.
I am putting a lot of money on this game.
It's
Because
Kevin the
I
Greek.
also am not going to be around for the noon and probably 3:30 games, even though there's nothing going on. So this is all eyes on Michael Penix for Heisman, all eyes on Washington to run the table to get back to the Pac-12 championship game and to see if they can beat Oregon. So this is my pick. And, I'm almost 10 minutes here, so wow, Jimbo's
Yes,
going to
you
be
are.
pissed.
No kidding.
So, yeah,
He's
these are my
right.
picks. And that's my
you're absolutely
recap.
right.
So,
Sure, we're New
looking
Hampshire
forward
special.
to seeing what happens. Go Huskies. Go Huskies.
So he had Huskies -1, Washington -1. So my lock of the week, speaking of liberty and God's name, image, and likeness, I'm going with Clemson. I'm a Clemson guy now. I like this Clemson team because I when Kevin put me in that box with that the lock of the week with Notre Dame, the only lock he's actually lost, I actually did end up rooting for Clemson. My lock, because these games, Kevin's right, I don't love any of these games. I'm going with the under in Clemson versus UNC at Clemson, 58.5. I'm taking the under as
That's
my
a good
lock of the
idea.
week. 58.5. Clemson's got a good defense. I think it'll be, 58.5 is a lot of points too. They win 30-28. You cover, or I win that bet.
My lock of the week is going to be whoever plays Iowa, take the under.
Yeah, but that's like that.
I don't even know who Iowa plays.
I don't know, but let me look up that under
Probably
there is
Nebraska or
probably
something.
insane.
Oh, it's probably like 19. Wasn't it 19 against Rutgers, and they ended up being like 6-3?
I don't know. It's something crazy. They're 22-0. They won 10-7, 12-10, 15-6. They're playing Illinois.
Under's going to be 22.
For some reason, I'm struggling here.
I
The
like when you're
over under. I'm gonna go the over. So who they're playing? They're playing Illinois. I'm going to say
22.5.
I'm gonna go 19.5.
That's what it was last week against Rutgers.
Oh, was it? Then
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go
19 3/4.
wow, 30.5.
Oh, take the under.
I'm gonna have to change my lock to that.
Illinois must score a lot of points.
Now we're sticking with Dabo, God's name, image, and likeness. He had a hilarious outfit with his camouflage pants on for like military
right.
appreciation. He just looks so funny.
All right. So, that's it. Do you any college football, anything else you want to talk about? I just want to talk about the dominance of the SEC Big Ten real quick. We could do this next week, too. They've dominated the whole state.
Yeah, the SEC. Yeah, they've dominated. It's way better than the ACC
and the Big Ten.
I know, but
the
what
whole
I'm saying,
conference up and down.
I know,
and I disagree.
That's why Alabama's better than FSU.
I disagree with
They've had better wins.
I don't. I disagree with that. I also say that I disagree. Ole Miss will never, ever, 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 Kevin, ever, ever, and I hate Penn State sometimes, be related to any way, shape, or form. It's not the Penn State of the SEC. It's Ole Miss, for Christ's sakes. It's Ole Miss.
Yeah, but he means like they're like the third best team. They're good,
not
but they're
all
not
the
great.
time. They're not always.
No,
it's
but
Florida,
this year.
And all. Okay, and Vanderbilt's like the SEC equivalent of Penn State. All right, let's go to NFL. I know we talked about Mac Jones.
I would say the SEC equivalent of Penn State is like Texas A&M.
Okay, we'll give
big stadium.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give you that one. Jesus. All right, so he talked about Mac Jones real quick. Let's talk about Mac Jones, and I want to bring some NFL stuff up before we look at scores. Mac Jones he's not the right fit here. Done. He's a backup quarterback at best right now. Bill or whoever is going to be making decisions will have to make a decision on where they go next. Probably a competent quarterback that's out there, and like Dobbs. God, the Dobbs kid at Minnesota has been incredible. But I agree with Mac Jones is the assessment they have, and maybe just you cut bait now and take the losses. And Zappy's even worse than Mac Jones. What do you think, Jack?
That Zappy thing it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Him doing that fake spike. So I heard he was giving hand signals to his wide receivers before he did the fake spike. That kind of gives it away, no? Like if you're giving hand signals to like routes to run to your receivers, I don't think the fake spike's gonna work. The fake spike was so funny because it's like supposed to be like a trick play. He gets it, drops back, throws it into like 4 people, it gets picked off. It was so funny. That game was offensive to watch. 9:30 in the morning. Awful, awful, awful game. The product is awful. Belichick's going to get fired. Kraft looked hilarious with his little George Costanza coat on. Man, they're bad. The kicker sucks. My point, Gostowski. Everyone hated Gostowski for some reason. Gostowski sucks. He misses all these kicks. Gostowski had like this streak. He made like 50 straight kicks inside of 40 yards. This kid you pick's horrible.
Well, you got to remember
this,
won the game
Jack.
if you just remember
inside
this.
of 40.
Just remember this. There are kids who are alive today who never saw the Patriots absolutely suck, and you're one of them. They were hard. There were times in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, mid-90s, late 90s, they were terrible. And now they're back to that. These kids, these people, whoever it is, have never seen this happen. You know, you can fire Belichick all you want, but whoever you bring in as coach, if they got a quarterback like Mac Jones, you're not going to win. This is a quarterback-driven league, and until you find the right quarterback, and the one thing they did wrong with Brady was they never developed a competent backup because he was so egotistical and cocky, he wouldn't allow it to happen.
It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. They
I
tried
didn't say
to do
it was
he
easy.
just stunk. You got to get lucky with that. It's like
I didn't say it was easy, but they never did.
What's like the success rate of a quarterback going like Aaron Rodgers and Steve Young? Is that it? Can you think of any others where it's like a Hall of Fame quarterback was replaced by another Hall of Fame quarterback or at least a elite level talent?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck.
But they weren't. That's not what I'm talking about. He wasn't on the team. They got that as a result of Peyton not being there, Peyton being hurt.
But at least you get somebody competent. But Bill might pay the price.
It's like Luck was not his understudy.
Right.
Rodgers played with Favre. Did Young play with Montana?
Yes.
That's my point there.
All right, I had to think about that. That's mediocrity. What are we going to do in NFL right now?
I do have JTrev just send me his thing. I want to just go through the games. Tonight's Denver-Buffalo. Denver's kind of been starting to be like pesky a little bit. Obviously, they beat Kansas City. Buffalo has to win that game, or else they're not going to make the playoffs.
And Buffalo is the official NFL team of our podcast because they're the Dow Jones of the year. They win. I think they'll win, but Buffalo. You're right about Denver. After they get smoked by Miami a couple next week too. He's done a really good job of coach has really done a good job. Russell Wilson's done a really good job of stabilizing that situation.
They pretty. I don't know what to say. I forget what we were talking about. I'm all flustered right now because JTrev sent me his stuff and I'm trying to get it up here.
Okay.
What were we talking about? Was that Denver?
Denver, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Let's go.
How about this one? Chicago versus Carolina. The Tank Bowl. They got both their picks.
I'm done.
The Bears beat Carolina. Carolina sucks.
I'm done talking about both those teams.
Matt Rule, middle finger. Pat's. We talked about, but is there anything else to say about Pat's Colts?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I like the Douglas kid. That's about it.
Pat should have won the football game. Simple.
I don't like Minshew. The Colts.
I have a question on the Pats. Real quick on the Pats game. Stevenson was running the ball really well. So was Elliott. Why do they go away from the run when they get in the red zone? Why don't they just keep pounding the football? They were controlling the offensive line. They just stopped pounding the football.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Bill O'Brien, good. He used to be coach at Penn State.
Yeah, for 2 years he took over for Paterno, right?
He took over Joey Pa.
Yeah, that was a good situation for him to be in.
Did a good job though.
No, I know that's why, because he got the job with the Texans, and then he did good with the Texans, and then I feel like he got too much power. He was making the decisions.
Happens.
He made a couple bad trades.
That's what happened with Billy too. You're right.
Why
do you keep moving that thing?
Because they're trying to get in the right spot with the microphone. Here we go. Houston, Cincinnati. That kid's good. Stroud
good.
boys. Cincinnati. Again, the way they started, there's no room for error for them. So.
But you remember, the NFL's the NFL, right? They're at any given.
I know,
but it's so mediocre that any given day you're going to lose. And Cincinnati was a little banged up.
Yeah, but Cincinnati can't. They
didn't
can't
play
afford.
well.
I
agree.
I saw there's under 50% chance they make the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, that whole division is going to make the playoffs.
Minnesota, New Orleans. Minnesota beat New Orleans. Could care less about that game.
That's the Dobbs
yeah,
guy.
But that's Dobbs.
Dobbs
yeah.
played well. And you know what's funny about New Orleans is Jameis came in to play.
Did he?
Winston, he come in. Carr got a concussion.
He should be starting.
Winston came in through two great touchdown passes, then two bad interceptions.
That's why I'm wearing the FSU hat. I like the Jameis Winston teams.
Next.
Heisman. Pittsburgh, Green Bay. Pittsburgh beat Green Bay. Again, they didn't outgain their opponent, so they still have not outgained an opponent. They're 6-3, 7-3, 7-4.
Yeah, and they've won their last 10 games by one score.
Oh, here it is, 6-3.
One score.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you're not outgaining people.
That bubble will pop at some point.
Yeah, but they're in second place. They're tied second place. Tennessee, Tampa could care less. Tampa won. Rabel will be the next coach. Rabel stinks. San Francisco destroyed the Jaguars. That's the big result of the week.
Right.
San Fran needed that coming off the bye. Everyone was so high on the Jaguars.
Yeah, I agree with
all
that.
The three big teams that everyone was so hot on, while the Chiefs sat on their bye, the Jaguars lost, the Bengals lost, and the Ravens got beat by the Browns in a masterclass from Deshaun Watson in the second half.
Correct.
I saw Tyreek Hill on Twitter, Cheetah. He tweeted out all the Deshaun Watson haters are silent right now. It's like you don't. Those are the two worst guys to be. Tyreek Hill.
I agree with that. But I give him credit. They come back and win. That coach is good. I like the Browns coach. Browns were your pick to win the Super Bowl, right?
No, they're my sleeper pick. My pick to win the Super Bowl is
Chiefs.
Kansas City. Yeah,
I don't remember where I picked.
But yeah, so everyone's been. I feel like Kansas City kind of. People started to disrespect them in a way that it was like their offense is really not that good. And everyone was so high on the Ravens, and everyone was so high on the Bengals before last week.
Yeah,
everyone's the Bengals are going.
Let's hold off on the Chiefs love right now because their offense is horrible. The Ravens just had a brain fart, and Cincinnati has no room for error.
In terms of the bye, though, Jacksonville losing or Baltimore losing is big for them.
Correct.
Because again, it's going to be harder.
I agree with you.
There's only one bye now. It's not like two back in the Brady days. Arizona, Atlanta, 25-23. Wow, Murray's back.
Yeah,
it's a good result for the Patriots.
Yes, good result for Kyler Murray because they new coach didn't want to play him, but you had to play him finally.
Yeah,
who's next?
I don't like Kyler at all. He should go back play baseball. Detroit beat the Chargers 41-38. That's a high scoring game.
That was Jared Goff versus Herbert, right? Yeah, that was a high scoring game. Last second field goal.
Detroit
Lions are a tough little team.
Yeah, like I said, they're like that. They're the second level of contenders.
When we go on to that route, we'll go there next.
Dallas destroyed the Giants. Dax, what did I say? They were 17.5-point favorites, which is like a huge spread. In the NFL.
Dak is Dak, and that team's a really good team. Could be dangerous.
I said they're winning the NFC.
The problem they're going to have is their coach.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah.
He just gets lost in the game, clock management. Yeah, you're right. That's going to be tough. I think I like that. I like their chances against the Eagles. I don't want them to play the 49ers just because that game was such a mess earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Seattle beat the Commanders. Seattle's again like
nobody cares.
Yeah. Seattle, what's their record? Seattle is...
Yeah, but that division
6-3.
Horrible, by the way. But nobody cares about the Commanders.
Well, they're two 6-3 teams. And then the Raiders beat the Jets. The Raiders are 2-0 with that new coach, right?
Another piece of mediocrity in the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets stink.
Hey, real quick, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Till tonight. Before we get to JTrevs, who do you got top 8? What do you look?
I have no idea.
And again, we talk mediocrity. Then we'll go to JTrevs, and then we'll do some NBA.
I don't know. I honestly can't give you a top 8. I like the Chiefs.
I got to go here. I'll split it up for you. I got to split both in conferences because I think there's 4 outstanding teams in the NFC, and that's it. Lions, Cowboys, Eagles, Niners. In the AFC, the Chiefs are far and away.
I wouldn't say the Lions are with those. I think the other 3 are better than the Lions.
I think you're right, but you got to throw the Lions in there because they are winning football
I say the
games.
Lions are down where the
No.
There was Seattle.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Disagree.
Yes,
We'll see who's right.
both got annihilated by the Ravens.
We'll
They're
see
the
who's
same
right.
team.
We'll see who's right. And then in the AFC, Chiefs. And then you have a little bit of a gap with Miami, the whole AFC North, because they're like all tied together there. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. And then trailing behind Jacksonville and the Bills are just the most weirdest thing in the whole NFL. But the mediocrity of the leagues just shows me. I think that there are only like 6 teams who win the Super Bowl. I don't know if anybody but the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl in the AFC. I think the Cowboys, the Niners, and the Eagles, I think all can win the Super Bowl. Chiefs, I think, can win the Super Bowl. Other than that, in the AFC, I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah, I just don't trust Lamar enough. Maybe the Browns.
Maybe, you're right. All right.
Because he looked really good in the second half. He started off, I think he was 1 for 9 with a pick 6, Deshaun, to start that game.
So how much is JTrev blessing us with
a ton.
today?
I got to get ready for this. So the best team of the week, his team of the week?
Yeah, go.
He kind of changes it up, but because he starts with one team, it might go into somewhere else. The 49ers blew the Jaguars off their own field in what was supposed to be the game of the day. The Browns showed impressive resilience on Sunday in Baltimore in a signature victory over the Ravens, a team many pundits and fans currently have slated as the top team in the league. So the Ravens, people do think they would be in that they could win the Super Bowl of the AFC category. But again,
they have Lamar Jackson.
The Cowboys obliterated the Giants in not so shocking fashion, but nevertheless deserve some attention for the way they've been playing since their loss to the 49ers. However, the Texans are my Week 10 team of the week for their win over the surging Bengals. For full transparency, the Bengals were missing arguably their second-best non-quarterback on offense in T. Higgins and their second-best player on defense in Sam Hubbard. But for the Texans to go into Cincinnati and defeat one of the hottest teams in the NFL is one of the best wins we have seen so far, no matter how you slice it. And it wasn't squeaking out a win in ugly fashion or the referees playing a significant factor in determining the outcome. The Texans thoroughly deserved to win the game by outplaying the Bengals in all phases. Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense put up plenty of yards and ended up with 27 points by the end of it, but the Texans rendered their offense useless for about half of the game while they built up a 13-point lead halfway through the third quarter. After the Bengals' opening drive touchdown, they were forced to punt on their next 5 drives. They also forced Burrow into throwing 2 lousy interceptions in the midst of the Bengals' comeback attempt late in the game. Where am I? In all, the defense did plenty to win this game against a well-oiled Bengals offense. Somehow, I've gone this long without mentioning C.J. Stroud. The Duke can flat out sling the rock. He loves the flat out. I could not believe some of the throws he was making at the key stages of the game. He threw a back shoulder ball to John Mechie in the red zone yesterday that is still ingrained in my head. Simply put, only a handful of guys in the league can make that throw, and Stroud has only played 9 of these games. Somehow, he was almost as good as he was last week, which was one of the most impressive individual performances we've seen this weekend. He did throw a horrible interception late in the fourth quarter that gave the Bengals a chance to win the game, but outside of that blunder, he picked apart the Bengals, and he did so without his number 1 receiver. This Texans team is 5-4 and wildly enough sitting as the AFC's number 7 seed after Sunday's game. First-year D'Amico Ryans deserves a ton of credit for having this team in the beginning stages of their rebuild in this position.
I got to say, I agree with JTrev on that team of the week. They did beat the surging Bengals. Stroud's been great.
Who's their number 1 receiver?
I don't even know.
Tank Dell?
Yeah, Stroud, I don't know. I don't know the NFL
I think
it's
Tank Dell.
Stroud's been getting talk about MVP votes, too, now. So a great first year. Luck, almost to the Marino Luck first year numbers. So good for him.
To think about that, who's the MVP right now? I'm trying to just think.
Mahomes.
No, he's been horrible.
I know, but his team's winning.
No.
Dak, Jalen Hurts, Mahomes, McCaffrey,
it won't be Dak, won't be
Deebo
Hurts.
Samuel.
Yeah, he's got a chance. I mean, if they can keep winning games, there's not like this one guy who's like running away with stuff right now.
Yeah, I think Dak
Tyreek
can
Hill.
do it. You're right.
All right, disappointing. There are plenty of disappointing performances this week that I considered highlighting in a negative light, but I'm going to address some of the Jaguars' specific issues that they are dealing with. Yes, they are still 6-3 and remain at the top of the AFC South, and yes, they may have ran into a buzzsaw of a 49ers team coming off 3 straight losses and a bye week, but there have been some lingering troubles that other teams weren't able to expose earlier on and came to a head in this game. Even with Doug Peterson running the show and Trevor Lawrence behind center, this Jaguars offense has been below average in most of the games they've played. The passing game feels too horizontal and static right now. The 49ers were squatting on a ton of plays this game and never felt threatened over the top. They cannot run the ball with any sort of consistency either right now. Sure, Travis Etienne has looked real explosive this season, but he has done a lot of damage in the pass game, and on a couple of huge runs they were able to gash teams on. When those huge plays aren't there, which they aren't in the NFL most of the time, they struggle to get ahead of the chains and find even modest gains on the ground. That starts with subpar offensive line play, which was a concern entering the season, but it is also a scheme issue that has the feel of too boom or bust. Peterson and OC Press Taylor need to look more for more singles than the extra base hits they are seeking. The turnover issue has been well known, and that should have been a priority going into the bye week. Instead, they came out and turned the ball over another 4 times. No team in the league has lost more EPA. Here we go, expected points added. Remember I asked about that last week? No team in the league has lost more EPA off turnovers than Jacksonville thus far, and the gap isn't close. Lawrence must do a better job protecting the football along with his teammates. The defense has been a pleasant surprise this season and looks like an above-average unit, but the 49ers may have exposed some issues when the Jaguars are forced to play more of their nickel packages. Statistically, the Jags are a top 5 team when they have their defense back on the field, but things can't go awry when they throw that extra defensive back on the field, and Purdy completed 16 of his 19 passes for just over 200 yards and 2 of his touchdowns against these looks.
So the Jaguars shit the bed, and the 49ers came off the bye and were really good. JTrevs got it right and hits the nail on the head. Their offense is not as good as I would have expected. Totally agree with him. Jaguars are going to actually win with the defense, but you got Peterson, you got Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what the holdup would be.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I haven't watched much of the Jaguars. I watched the one game they got beat by the Chiefs, and their offense wasn't good in that game. But the Chiefs' defense is really good. I don't know how to feel about the Jaguars. We'll see. They'll make the playoffs. They'll win the division, but I don't.
And they'll lose in the first round.
Well, again, Houston's in their division. What if Houston?
That's true. That's true. All right, who's got their outstanding player of the week?
Outstanding player of the week. I could have given this guy a shout out earlier than week 10, but it's better late than never. Jared Goff deserves a ton of credit for the way he's playing this season, and on Sunday, he was in total control. His offensive coordinator, Brian Johnson, deserves plenty of credit as well for the way he has schemed up the offense to play to Goff's strengths. But to see Goff executing at the level he is in 2023 is a testament to the way he has developed on his own to go from a practical throw-in in the Matt Stafford trade to a legitimate top 10 performer at the position. On Sunday against the Chargers, Goff completed 23 of his 33 passes for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns with 0 turnovers and without taking a sack in the process. The offensive line did an amazing job keeping him clean all day and limiting pressure, which is part of the game he struggles most with. But it felt like he was getting rid of the ball in under 2 seconds on most plays and knew exactly where he was going with the football pre-snap. The defense he was going against deserves their own section for the ineptitude they showed all game, but Goff played a big role in that. Accuracy has always been a strong part of his game, but the touch and placement he showed on downfield throws on Sunday was extra impressive. Goff loves spreading the ball around, and this game was no different as he found 7 different receivers. He went toe-to-toe with Justin Herbert all second half and was fortunate enough to have the ball at the end of the game in which he led them on a game-winning field goal drive. No matter how bad the defense on the other side is, leading an offense to 41 points is no small feat. A quick shout-out to Kyler Murray as well, who led the Cardinals to their second victory of the season over their Falcons in his first game back in a year. It was far from a perfect day for Murray, but he definitely elevated the talent around him and led that game-winning drive at the end of the game. So yeah, Jared Goff, first, he was the first pick in the draft, no?
Yes, he was. And you know what's funny about him is that they could win that trade, except for the fact that Rams won the Super Bowl.
There's no winning that trade. The Rams already have. The Rams can't
won
lose
the
that
trade,
yeah.
but they could lose the trade. But in the long run, he went to the right place. He got the right OC.
They both won the trade.
But he got the right offensive coordinator, and that was the highlight game. That should have been the Sunday night game instead of the Jets and the Raiders. But yeah, I agree with that. And Kyler Murray, he's right. I know you don't like him too much, but he did a great job too. So it's good to see 2 different types of style quarterbacks that JTrevs mentioning. Now my favorite part of the day is JTrevs' worst player of the week.
Very quickly, Tommy DeVito might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen throw an NFL pass. Now, the dude who played for the 49ers in the championship game last year.
Tommy DeVito.
That is saying plenty with some of the guys we have seen in the past decade alone take snaps. As an undrafted free agent who is able to carve out a roster spot on one of the 32 organizations at the top level of the sport, I can't rag on him that much. So I will focus my attention on 2 guys, Mac Jones and Derek Carr. I won't say much about Mac because there isn't much to say at this point. He flat out smells. The coaches have had it with him. The fans have certainly had it with him. Even most pundits, maybe outside of Kevin's guy Dan O, see a point of almost no return. The Mac era in New England may be over, and that late change to Bailey Zappi on Sunday may be some evidence of it. His final throw of the day, the interception thrown to Justin Blackmon of the Colts, is one of the worst passes I ever seen. We didn't even talk about that.
Right.
And personally, I didn't even think it was his worst throw of the day. Blackmon should have picked off Jones short time earlier on an ephus thrown to the corner of the end zone, a ball that had no shot of being completed the moment it left his hands. On the Derek Carr front, the Saints are simply not being explosive on a consistent enough basis with him under center. There's certainly an offensive line issue and definite offensive coordinator issue, but Carr is not willing to push the ball down the field to his weapons. Chris Olave is visibly frustrated in all of the Saints games I've seen, and there is way too much dink and dunking for anyone's liking. Carr went out with a shoulder injury in the third quarter, and even though Jameis threw 2 interceptions on the final 2 drives, he also led the Saints' only 2 touchdown drives of the day and showed the willingness to push the football. Jameis is always going to be willing to throw that ball downfield.
He loves to throw it downfield.
The Saints' offense feels antiquated, static, and not nearly aggressive enough. Carr needs to find his playmakers down the field and start sharing some of the blame for their offensive struggles. They won't face Tony Brown on the outside every week and need to find some ways to put points on the board with a more than good enough defense. So, Mac Jones, Derek Carr, and Tommy DeVito. Shout out to the quarterbacks.
Tommy DeVito. Where did he pull Tommy DeVito? I think he went to Illinois.
I don't know.
I forget.
Did
he get hurt last night?
I don't know, honestly.
Or against the Cowboys. Right?
Tommy DeVito. No, there are some bad quarterbacks.
And that's the problem. Again, as we wrap up the NFL, I'm gonna go back and tell you that the mediocrity of the league is amazing. There's maybe 6 good teams, 7 if we're lucky. Everybody else is then you got the middle, then you got way at the bottom with the Patriots. It's amazing the Patriots at the bottom of the jar, we'll call it. But again, this is what you get when you have 32 teams and you don't have enough competent quarterbacks coming out of and to play. So once the NFL figures that out, which they never will, they'll expand to 2 more teams and they'll get even worse with the mediocrity part. But that's what you want, and people don't care if it's bad. People don't care if it takes 4 hours. People don't care if the games are boring because they get to go, they get drunk, they can tailgate, they can gamble, they can do all fun stuff. So that's it for the NFL. Any other last words, NFL week?
No, I've gotten bored from some of these NFL games, and I don't know. There's some good games. There have not really been that many good games this year, to be honest.
Okay, I know we wanted to do NBA, but I just want to touch on one thing. I got 3 things in the NBA I want you to talk to me about. Number 1 is I want you to give me your impression of the in-season tournament. Number 2, I want you to give me your Damian Lillard thoughts and not playing all the time, that team really being mediocre right now. Number 3, I want you to talk about Tyrese Maxey and the 76ers off to an 8-1 start. New coach, James Harden gone. Talk about James Harden, his 0-4 start out there in Los Angeles. And then finally, what's really wrong with the Suns? Jeez, they play terrible. So,
what are your thoughts on the in-season tournament?
I like it. I like the in-season tournament because it's not really an in-season tournament because the games count only towards your record anyway. So you got to win. You got to play to win.
Yeah.
I think it just gives another added excitement when you get into the doldrums of January, December. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if I like the floors, but I do like the in-season tournament.
The courts are a disgrace. They're a disgrace. The Celtics not playing the parquets is bad.
Oh, but some of the other courts are even worse.
I know. The Celtics actually have one of the better courts. Honestly.
I know. They were lucky.
Everyone's acting like all the players. I have no idea what's going on. What's this playing tournament? I can't figure it out.
They know what's going on when they get paid at the end if they win.
Yeah, well, Steph Curry, who's like, here's what he says about all the people who are confused by the tournament.
There's still a little bit of confusion about how to advance.
If you just take the time to read the situation, it's pretty straightforward. I love the commentary around nobody knows what's going on, but if you actually just take a second, take a deep breath, and understand there are 6 groups, and whoever has the best record out of the 6 groups and 2 wild cards, go, and then you play a bracket from there and try to get to Vegas, the Final Four, play 2 games. Championship is an extra game, but there's monetary stakes on the line, and then everybody else who doesn't make the bracket gets regular season games made up.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's like there's only one. If you make the champion, 2 teams this year will play 83 games.
Right, just that's it. And I'll tell you something. I give credit to Curry there. The voice of reason. He understands growing the game. It's Adam Silver has been in love with the in-season stuff they do in the in international soccer, which is what they're trying to replicate here, the Champions League. Europa League, all the other leagues.
Well, that's
within
different.
things.
It would be more like the
In-season
cup,
tournament.
the League Cup.
League Cup,
FA
okay,
Cup.
something like that. But I like the idea. What are your thought process on that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'd like to see they call it the double in England. If you win the FA Cup
the
and the
double.
Premier League,
That'd
so
be
I
good.
want the Celtics to win the double. They're going to win the cup and the
good.
championship.
Okay, real quick.
That's my thoughts.
Lillard, anything? So we can
I
bust
don't really
Tommy
care
Tay?
much. I've the Lillard thing. I have not watched him play yet. It says they're 5-4 here. They're 1-3 on the road. Not much to say. That's gonna take time. You gotta give it till like 30, 40 games in to really make your judgment on that team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that my big issue with bringing Lillard is you have the greatest player, one of the top 2 players in the world, and it takes away his
50 points though.
Yeah, I know, but
75% shooting.
Yeah. But it's still again when Lillard's in there, what are you going to do? So I don't know.
It's the same thing with like Tatum. You're taking away from him. If you hear his quote, is like my scoring is going to be down a little bit this year, but like we're winning. So I don't care.
That's different. If they had brought Lillard in here, I'd understand if he said that. We didn't bring Lillard here. We brought Drew Holiday, which is a completely
more
different
Porzingis
animal.
than Holiday.
Whatever. And Porzingis could score you 18, 20 points a game. You win.
Because like he's not like Holiday's just replacing Marcus Smart in terms of like the shots they're going to take.
Right.
He actually might take a little bit less. He probably takes a little bit more.
Hopefully
Holiday,
less.
But Porzingis takes way more shots than Rob Williams did. So that's where the shots are going with him.
I got you. All right, 76ers, their 8-1 start. Maxey was 50 the night. Addition by subtraction by addition for the Clippers. Where do you go there?
Well, it's been going good for the Sixers, and Maxey looks like an all-star, and Embiid looks really good like he always does in the regular season, and they're getting some contributions. And then they got this Kelly Oubre guy really playing great, and he gets hit by a car. He got hit by a car. Judging by like the police report, he's lucky to be alive. Broke his ribs, had some injuries, so we'll see what happens there. So the Sixers can have nice things. They're good though. The Celtics didn't play that well. They didn't when they played the Sixers.
Yeah, they didn't. You're right, but that was down there.
They
and
didn't
that's
make many
expected.
shots. The Sixers didn't really make many shots either. But the Sixers, I turned the game. The Sixers tried to give that game away. It's gonna be the same thing. Do you really think the Celtics wouldn't beat them? I think no way.
I don't have
They
any
have their
words.
number. They beat them all the time.
Although they do have Nick Nurse as their coach instead of our good friend Doc Rivers.
I don't care. We beat Nick Nurse before.
What about James Harden's situation?
Hilarious. Oh, hilarious. This would be his last year in the NBA, I think. I can't imagine someone's going to take him next year. He's awful. He is. Someone did like this. The Clippers fans are already making up trades to get rid of him. One of the trades was like, we give up James Harden and we get Drew Holiday and like picks. Someone was like, I wouldn't trade Sam Hauser for James Harden. He's horrible. And it's him and Westbrook on the same team, and I hate those two guys.
Oh, the other thing is Kyrie had a big night last night, too.
Dallas is playing good.
Yeah,
Grant Williams.
I had written them down.
And we had talked about Dylan Brooks. He's been having a really good year for the Rockets.
Right.
What are the Rockets? The Rockets have a pretty good record, don't they? The Rockets are 6-3. Ime Udoka.
Yes, the Rockets. I was as we go through, I'll go through the list. We'll see who's playing well. And then the Phoenix Suns, who I was out there. There's hype. But they're playing mediocre too. I guess Devin Booker's hurt.
I don't care about them at all because I think there's a 0% chance that the Celtics play them in the finals. They're not making it, so I don't like that team. I don't think that experiment will fail.
I agree with that. Top 8 teams NBA. Actually, I went by conference: Sixers, Celtics, Bucks, and Heat. I have on my side.
Maybe
Heat
the
are
Heat,
playing better though. Heat are playing. You can hate the Heat, but they're playing better.
So yeah, I know their point differential is negative.
Oh, I got you. And then on the Western side, Nuggets are playing extremely well. That's a good team.
obviously.
Jokic is I saw they who was the best player from wherever. Jokic was there. 34% of the people picked somebody but Jokic, which stunned me. But that's beside the point. The Mavericks are playing extremely well. Boy, I can't even read my own writing here. Hold on. Look what I wrote down there.
Yeah, I can never read it either.
Mavericks, Minnesota, Golden State. Those
Yeah, so
four.
Minnesota, that Celtics game, they just got torched by like the best player I've ever seen. Anthony Edwards, me calling him a top 10 player, when nobody else in the world was doing it, was one of my best takes. He's playing like a top 10 player right now. They just got to get rid of Karl Anthony Towns. They'll be all good.
Yeah, nobody wants Karl Anthony Towns anymore.
Yeah, I know. I think Windhorst said they couldn't even get picks for him if they tried to trade him. But
Correct.
yeah. Wembanyama, with how he's been up and down a little bit. They're 3-7, so Everyone's like,
That's
"Oh,
what's
yeah."
going to happen, though. That's the team is there's no talent.
He's too skinny right now. He's got to
The other
bulk
thing
up like Giannis did.
Well, we're at about 9 or 10 games. We're seventh of the way through, 10th of the way through the season. There's so much to go. So many people get hurt. So many people get arrested. I like the Celtics' chances. I think he put together a good team. I like to see him pick up another player if they could, if they have the room for it. But you know what? Hauser's going to hit his shots. Pritchard's eventually going to hit his shots. Horford's got to stay healthy. I think, to be honest with you, the whole key is Porzingis and Horford have to stay healthy.
Yeah, that's where their size comes from. Tatum shooting over 50% so far this year. He's never done that in his career.
Mr. Plus Minus, too.
Yeah, he's got the best plus minus in the NBA by a lot, by like a ton. So he'll be in the MVP conversation probably make first team All NBA for the third straight year. I mean, how many Celtics have done that? Probably one, I'd say, because I don't think Russell did because he wouldn't have made because of Wilt. They only have one of them because they do one center. So that's actually a good question. Has anyone other than Bird been All-NBA first team 3 straight times for the Celtics? Maybe
the only thing I could think of would be
Havlicek.
Havlicek in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And Pierce never made it 3 in a row.
I don't think Pierce
ever made
I don't
it.
think Pierce ever made an All-NBA first team.
Right.
He made
First,
second and third,
right.
but I don't think he ever made first.
Right.
8.5-point favorites tonight at home against the Knicks. So that should be a good game. Knicks, again, not a bad team, but I don't know. Just keep rolling, keep stacking up the wins. They did lose those 2 games in a row. We'll see. Porzingis.
Those things are going to happen, though.
Porzingis and Jaylen Brown seem to really have a good relationship. They live in the same building. Brown was talking about, he's a funny guy. He's a good guy. He seems like his vibes have been very good. Like from what you hear about him, like he's kind of whiny, kind of blah blah blah, hurt, useless.
Put him on a winning team.
Since he was here, it's been unbelievable.
Put him on a winning team. He's going to be happy, though.
Yeah,
simple as
for
that.
sure. And then Robert Williams out for the season. That's tough.
That's a shame.
But Brad knew what he's doing.
He's going to get paid anyway, no matter if he's hurt or not. But I agree with that. We won't do any NBA predictions because both of us probably picked the Celtics anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
As we're right up on our hour today,
Nuggets could be tough though. I mean, Jokic is good.
I wanted. It's probably not for this show because I like to do another show where we took some about the gambling and because I am substitute up at the school, the gambling on the young people. I mean, with Kevin's telling me about spreads and Justin's doing this and Chris is doing that, and it's just the preponderance of it here in the States. I want to ask you a question about gambling. How many Premier League teams are sponsored by gambling outfits?
I don't know, like the lower level ones. That's more like the championship, the second division there. They have all the like Bet Now or whatever. Yeah.
But they've been gambling on soccer for ages, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and they've had some issues with soccer. I know Newcastle signed this Italian guy and he got busted for gambling. Like the whole Italian national team got busted gambling. There's like a dude who's gonna come back in January and like he could like really change the title race if Arsenal get him. He's been suspended for gambling. He's a striker, so I don't know. The gambling, it's whatever. Who cares, really? Like, what do I care if you lose your money? You win your money gambling. It's not my problem.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Pete Rose is out of baseball because of gambling.
Players should not be gambling. I'm saying.
But it doesn't matter.
If a student at your school wants to bet $10, I don't care.
How do you know that somewhere doesn't impact down the river? Because now they're in bed with MGMs and all the and DraftKings and everything else. I think it's a topic for a good show.
It's not my problem.
I know it's not your problem, but I know you don't care.
Sure, it leads whatever.
I know you don't care, but it's an issue that we could talk about. We get the right people. If we ever get Kevin back in the studio, I like to ask him those questions because Kevin is really in love with that DraftKings stuff, just like Chris was.
Yeah,
got anything
winning
else? You got anything else for the week for me, Mr. Boyle?
No. How are the Bruins doing?
I think they lost to Montreal over the weekend.
I haven't seen a thing about the Bruins in a while, honestly. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, now that the Patriots are sucking and the Sox sucked and the Celtics play well, even though they're a good team, and like I said, I always heard the thing that they have a core group of 18,000 fans who all go to the games. Now, our neighbor Kyle Bishop, I know, goes. If he ever listens to this, he's going to get mad at me. But
and like those guys aren't. It's like Celtics versus Bruins. Really, you're normally one or the other.
You're A or B. Correct.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The only thing coming up, we had the GM meetings. Craig Breslow made his debut. I'd love to bring baseball in. The winter meetings are coming up, I think, in December. A lot's going to happen. The rumor is out there, Ohtani by the beginning or end of the
Cubs.
You think the Cubs?
No, because that owner won't do it. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't care about Ohtani.
I just want a prediction. We get one prediction a day. Where do you think he ends up? Go.
Cubs.
I think he goes to the Dodgers, stays in L.A., or
I think he's going to go to the Mets.
Or surprisingly, the Angels re-sign him.
I'm going to go Mets.
Mets?
Yeah.
Okay, Mets and Dodgers, two big money teams.
I want him to go because I want Yamamoto. Give me Yamamoto. We need the Mets to sign Ohtani because then they probably won't sign him.
Well, Yamamoto's going to end up on the West Coast too.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
There's no way the Red Sox, Yankees, and Mets let him go to the West Coast. No way. Those three teams all need him. No way. There's no way. No way.
Okay, and then the other one I think you brought up is Glasnow, your boy. What would it take to get him here?
A lot. I don't know. Let me look. I don't know.
He's going to look.
I don't know why they would trade him.
Got to get
he
my
would
Red Sox
take. It would be hard. Let me actually real quick. Let's see contract. See how many years.
He's got 1 year left of control.
Then he wouldn't be Marcelo Meyer. He'd be Roman Anthony. You'd have to give up.
Right.
It'd be centered around Roman Anthony. If he had 2 years left, though, it would be Marcelo Meyer.
So the question for you is this. This will end the show with this.
He's also making a lot of money this year. He makes $25 million.
Makes a lot of money.
I think he made $5 million last year.
Breslow has to understand the reason you have prospects is to actually you got to trade like 70% of your prospects to build your team. I think that's the one thing where Bloom was failing. Bloom didn't evaluate, but I'm hoping Breslow evaluates pitching the way he sees it, and he is not afraid. I think they have to make deals. The Red Sox. They can't just count on signing free agents.
Yeah, no, they're probably gonna have to trade for a pitcher. Yeah, and he'd be the guy that I would want, but you never know.
Correct. So that's it. I think we covered the NFL, the NBA, my friends for college football. We talked to both Kevin and Justin, and we just snuck the Red Sox there in the end. And any last words before you say goodbye?
No, Dion to Texas A&M.
Never
existence.
Never ever going to happen.
Yes,
I'm going with Mike Elko, the coach at Duke, to Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean,
and hopefully we'll get some theme music.
Kevin wants
week.
Elko at. Kevin did answer my Urban Meyer hypothetical. He said he would 100% take Urban Meyer at Notre Dame, but Kevin wants Elko at Notre Dame.
I believe it. Hopefully next week we'll have some theme music from Core Discord, my nephew David's band, Jack's cousin. I talked to him. He gave us full rights to use it, so we don't have to worry about copyright issues.
4 hours ago, ESPN Stephen A. Smith pushes for Deion Sanders to take SEC job.
Oh, great.
Imagine him leaving after 1 year.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. He'd leave that. That would be destructive to the program. So for Jack Boyle, thanks a lot for this entertaining hour of conversation on our podcast. This is Jim Boyle, and it all boils down to this. We'll see you on down the road. Thanks for listening to this episode of It All Boils Down to This, recorded at WCTV Studios in our hometown of Wilmington, Massachusetts. We're always open to any ideas, critiques, topics, and guests. So if anyone out there in podcast world needs to get a hold of us, we can be reached via email at jboyle22@comcast.net. Along with Jack Boyle, I'm Jim Boyle. Make sure to tune in to the next edition of It All Boils Down to This.